Welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of management research.
Ooh, interesting.
You know, all
Yeah.
those studies and articles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're looking at this article from the European Business Review called Mything in Action, Policy Implications of Management Research.
Oh, okay.
And it really got me thinking, does management research really make a difference out there in the real world?
That's the big question, right? Like we see all this research coming out,
Yeah.
all these academics working hard, but does it actually translate, into policies that change how we work?
Exactly. And the authors of this article, Jensen Krause and a Guinness.
Guinness.
Yeah, like the beer.
Oh, okay.
They analyzed like over 4,000 articles
Wow.
from all these top management journals.
Okay.
And get this, they found that only 1.5%,
1.5%.
1.5% actually had any concrete suggestions for policies.
Oh, wow. That's really low.
I know.
Like all these amazing chefs, creating these incredible recipes, but then
Yeah.
nobody ever gets to taste the food.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, what's the point of all that work if it doesn't actually, make it to the table?
So it seems like there's this massive disconnect between the research world and the people who are actually making policies.
Yeah, a huge gap.
But the article doesn't stop there.
Right.
They actually looked at what areas did have those policy suggestions.
Oh, interesting. So where was the research actually connecting with policy?
Yeah, exactly. And they found a few key areas where it was happening more often.
Okay, tell me more.
Things like labor relations, leadership, and training and development.
Okay. Yeah, those are areas that are constantly evolving,
Right.
Every organization's dealing with those things.
So it makes sense that people would be looking for guidance in those areas.
Yeah, they're looking for a roadmap.
Absolutely. So what kind of policy recommendations did they actually find?
Well, one example was about workplace romances.
Oh.
Should companies have clear policies about what's acceptable and what's not?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Rather than just leaving it all kind of vague and right.
Leading to problems down the line.
Be proactive.
Exactly.
Okay, what about leadership? Any interesting recommendations there?
Yeah, there was one study that found that leaders can actually prime their employees for certain behaviors.
What does that mean?
So, like, if you want your employees to go above and beyond,
Yeah.
you can emphasize things like learning and advancement opportunities.
So it's not just about telling people what to do.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where those behaviors kind of naturally come out.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about training and development?
Well, one recommendation was for companies to train their managers on how to properly implement HR policies.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Give them clear guidelines, even incentives,
Yeah,
to make sure those policies are applied fairly and consistently.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, equip your managers to handle those tricky situations.
Okay, so those are some great examples of how research can inform policy.
Mm.
But here's the thing.
Right.
There were some areas where they found zero policy recommendations.
And these are big ones.
Like what?
Stress and well-being,
Okay.
creativity, and international human resources management.
You'd think, especially with all the focus on mental health these days,
Yeah.
there would be a lot of research-based policies for well-being at work.
Exactly. So why the silence on these important topics?
Well, there could be a few reasons.
Sure.
One possibility is that the research in these areas just isn't mature enough yet.
So it's still developing.
Yeah, maybe it's too early to draw those clear lines to policies.
Okay, that makes sense. What else could be going on?
Another possibility is that the researchers themselves aren't trained to think about the policy implications of their work.
They're so focused on the details of the research
Yeah, they're deep in the weeds.
that they don't think about, so what?
Exactly.
The practical applications for policymakers.
Yeah, it's like they're speaking different languages.
And what about the policymakers themselves? Could they be part of the problem?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Policymakers might not be actively seeking out academic research. They might be relying on consultants or industry reports or even just gut feelings.
So they're missing out on all this valuable research.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity.
It sounds like a communication breakdown.
Yeah, on both sides.
The researchers aren't giving clear policy guidance and policymakers aren't asking for it.
Exactly.
So we're all missing out.
And we all lose out on potentially better policies that could improve our workplaces and even society.
All right, so we've talked about the problem, this gap between management research and policymaking.
Right.
But the good news is the article doesn't leave us hanging.
Oh, good.
They actually offer some recommendations
Okay.
for both researchers and policymakers.
So there's a way to bridge this gap.
Exactly, and we'll dive into those recommendations in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back to explore how we can all play a part in turning research insights into real-world solutions.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about this gap between all this amazing research and the policies that could be shaping our work lives.
Yeah, it's like having a map to buried treasure,
Yeah.
but just leaving it in the trunk of your car.
Totally. So what can we do about it?
Well, the good news is
Yeah.
we don't have to just sit here and complain.
Right.
We can actually do something.
Okay, so how can our listeners, no matter what they do or where they work, how can they make research matter more?
Well, first of all, be a curious consumer of research
Okay.
and a critical one.
So don't just take the headlines at face value.
Exactly. Go deeper. Read the actual articles or at least summaries of the key findings.
Okay, I get that. But research articles can be kind of intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
All that jargon and statistics.
Right.
Any tips for us non-academics?
Yeah, absolutely. Look for journals that have managerial implications sections.
Okay.
Those are like cheat sheets.
So they translate the research into plain language.
Exactly, and give you those practical takeaways.
Okay, but even then, how do I know what applies to my specific situation?
That's where your critical thinking skills come in.
Oh.
You got to put on your detective hat.
All right.
Take those clues from the research and see how they fit into your own workplace.
Because not every company or industry is the same.
Right. What works for a tech startup might not work for a manufacturing plant.
Got it. So it's about adapting those insights to your own context.
Exactly.
Okay, what else can we do?
Well, how about becoming a citizen scientist?
Wait a minute. You're telling me that I, with my non-PhD having self,
Yeah.
can actually contribute to research?
You absolutely can.
How?
You don't need a lab coat or a fancy title.
Right?
There are so many ways to participate.
Like what?
You could volunteer for a study
Okay.
or share your experiences through surveys or interviews.
So I'm not just a data point, I'm actually helping to shape the research.
Exactly. You're co-creating knowledge.
I like that.
Your unique perspective could be incredibly valuable.
Wow, I'm feeling empowered already. Okay.
Well, you could even partner with researchers on projects
Okay.
that are relevant to your organization.
So reach out to a university or a research institution.
Yeah, and propose a collaboration.
Yeah. Like, hey, I've got this problem at work,
Exactly.
and I think your research could help.
It's a win-win.
Okay.
Researchers get real-world data,
Yeah.
and your organization gets to benefit from the latest research.
So it's building bridges between those two worlds.
Exactly.
Okay. What if I don't have the time or resources for a big research project?
Well, one simple but powerful thing you can do is share research findings.
Oh, yeah.
Spread the word.
Okay.
Share articles, blog posts, even podcast episodes.
Like this one.
Exactly.
So I'm like a research ambassador,
You got it.
helping those insights escape from those dusty academic journals.
And reach people who can actually use them.
Okay.
I like that. What else?
Well, this might sound a bit radical, but
Okay.
how about becoming a policy advocate?
Ooh. I like where this is going.
Tell me more.
If you see research that supports a solution you're passionate about,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to speak up.
So like write to my elected officials.
Exactly.
Share my thoughts on social media. Join advocacy groups.
You gotta use your voice to champion policies that are based on solid research.
That could make a real difference.
And you can start closer to home, too.
Oh, okay.
Advocate for evidence-based practices within your own company.
It's about taking action, turning those insights into action.
Right. Policy decisions are happening all the time at every level.
Even within companies.
Exactly. And your voice matters.
This is so inspiring.
That's
We've gone from feeling kind of helpless about this research policy gap to feeling totally empowered to do something about it.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want you to feel like you can be a catalyst for change.
Because research only matters if it's used to make the world a better place, right?
Absolutely. And each of us has a role to play in making that happen.
Well said. This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah.
But we're running out of time for this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But don't worry.
All right.
We'll be back soon with part 3,
Sounds good.
where we'll give you even more practical tips and tricks for putting research into action
Okay.
in your work and your life.
Stay tuned.
We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring this really cool world of management research
Yeah.
and how to actually make it matter.
Right. Bridge that gap.
Yeah, between all the great discoveries and the policies that shape our work lives.
Make research matter.
And last time we challenged our listeners to really jump in and get involved.
Yeah.
We talked about being smart consumers of research,
Right.
becoming citizen scientists, partnering with researchers, sharing what we learn, and even advocating for policies that are based on evidence.
It's about taking action.
Yeah, exactly. So now, for this final part,
Okay.
we want to give you some really practical tools
All right.
to make research come alive in your own work.
Yeah, let's get tactical.
Okay, so what can people actually do, like today, to make research more impactful?
Well, one fun and effective approach is to start a research club.
A research club,
Yeah.
like with your colleagues.
Yeah, or your professional network.
Okay, so it's kind of like a book club,
Exactly.
but for research papers.
Yeah. Instead of discussing characters and plot twists,
Right.
you're diving into research methods findings.
Yeah.
And most importantly, the practical implications for your work.
So you're staying up to date on the latest research,
Mm-hmm.
sharpening those critical thinking skills,
Yeah.
and actually coming up with ideas
Exactly.
for how to apply the research.
And you get all these different perspectives, when you
Yeah.
bring people together to talk about it.
It's like crowdsourcing innovation.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that. What other practical tips do you have?
Well, think of research as a treasure chest,
Okay.
full of ideas for experimenting,
Ooh.
making things better in your work.
So instead of just doing things the way they've always been done, you can use research to find new and better ways.
Exactly. Let's say you're facing a challenge at work.
Yeah?
Maybe it's about communication or teamwork.
Mm.
See if there's any research out there that can help.
So it's like having a secret weapon.
Exactly. Research can help you become a better problem solver.
And don't be afraid to experiment
Oh, yeah. Definitely try out different approaches.
based on the research.
And see what works best for you.
Because every workplace is different.
Right.
So what works for one company might not work for another.
Exactly.
This is making me think about my own work differently.
Good.
It's about using research to learn and grow.
And remember, research isn't just about new ideas.
Okay.
It can also be about validating the things you're already doing.
So if you have a hunch that something's working,
Yeah,
you can see if the research backs it up.
exactly. It gives you that confidence that
Right.
you're on the right track.
Data-driven confidence.
Yeah, making informed decisions.
This deep dive has been amazing.
It has.
We've learned so much about the power of research
Yeah.
and how to actually make it matter.
Make it real.
And we've gone from feeling overwhelmed
Right.
to feeling empowered.
That's the goal.
So as we wrap up,
Okay.
we want to leave you with this thought.
All right.
Research matters.
It does.
It matters for you,
Yes.
for your organization,
Absolutely.
and for the world.
Stay curious.
Keep exploring, and remember, you have the power to make research matter.
You do.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And until next time, keep on learning and keep on diving deep